We need to get more vulnerable, that's it. We need to get more vulnerable at this point, right? And I don't mean everyday vulnerable that we all feel like when you think there's an extra step at the top of the stairs and then your foot does that weird little stamp because it's like, can't wait for that next step. You panic looking around like, oh God, someone's seen that. That's the most embarrassing thing I've done in my life. Now I have to walk like that's my normal walk. See you later, mate. Good luck calling me Monsieur Stomp. I mean, like, stuff like driving as well, it's easy to feel vulnerable. Like, if I'm driving, I've got to sneeze. Oh, that's the most vulnerable I feel. Feel like winding down the window and yelling, good luck, everyone! I'm about to have my eyes forcibly slammed shut for an unknown duration of time and be violently thrown around in my seat, always trying to give way to the right, hopeless I'm survivor! I mean personal stuff, right? I want to talk about personal vulnerabilities, like the fact I've got a full-length mirror. Yeah. The boy from Ruislip done good. Now, normally when I clean that mirror, I clean it on the wall, right? One time I made the decision to take it off the wall, lay it on the floor, clean it that way. Don't ever do that. It's the most accurate and harrowing way to see what it looks like to have sex with yourself. Just looming over it, like... Is that good? Do you want bigger circles? Gentler, yeah, gentler. Less fingers? Do you want me to spit on you? Oh, okay, a room full of virgins, is it? Interesting, okay. I said to the Pleasants, no virgins, thank you. Unbelievable. Sick of playing to virgins. We got to do it, though. We're about here in the water. Shall we dip our dicks? Let's do it. I ruined the best day of my friend's life. There we go. That's vulnerable, isn't it? Beatrix was getting married. Now, I'm not saying it was the worst day of her life. That presumably was the day her parents named her Beatrix. But I definitely ruined her wedding day. So what happened was I had got an evening invite and I didn't know anyone. Now some of you are thinking to yourself, evening invite? Ugh. No. That's the ultimate invite as far as I'm concerned. That is up there, I'd say just below not getting invited at all. That's what we're aiming for, but I'll accept an evening invite. That's like calling in sick to work but still going to the Christmas party in the evening. I remember I got there, I congratulated Beatrix and Mark on their impermanent connection, nothing lasts forever. Not using those words, but they could see it in my eyes. And I felt anxious about it, and so Beatrix came over and chatted to me for a little bit, and she asked me how I was doing, how the vasectomy was going. Now, that might seem like a weird question for a bride to ask on their wedding day, but what you have to understand is when you have a vasectomy, it becomes your entire personality. Like, Stuart Laws, is that guy still going on about his vasectomy? Yes, I am, thank you. And it was a weird day, right? And so I was like, oh, yeah, it's all okay, thanks. And she saw that nervousness. She's like, what is it? Tell me. And I was like, no, don't worry about it. She's like, no, tell me. Now, you need, for context, to know that after a vasectomy, a medical professional tells you to do 26 emissions. Send the last one off for testing to make sure no more sperm is escaping and wreaking environmental havoc. Took me 4 years, skinned me brother. No, 12 weeks. 12 weeks. 12 weeks is what they told me, right? They said 12 weeks, please. And technically that means that a medical professional is saying, you got to come twice a week, boy. That's not how they said it, but I could see it in their eyes. Thing is, right, look, you know that saying, like, the first kilometre, the first sit-up, the first press-up is the most difficult? It's the same with first emissions post-vasectomy. It was an emission impossible. Ghost protocol. And you don't want to be behind schedule early on, right? You don't want your mum to come over and see your calendar and be like, why are there 4 E's on that day? You don't want to know about Mega Wank Sunday, mum. And it's live! Because a surgeon had said to me, leave it 5 days and then start whenever you feel comfortable. What? Whenever I feel comfortable? I've never felt comfortable in my entire life. I once had to leave a pub because there was a radiator underneath a hand dryer and it made me feel sad. So it was day 17, and I thought to myself, I got to get coming. I got to get, right? I was saying that into my mirror. You got to get coming. That's what it's like to have sex with me. You got to get coming. So like, day 17 was the day of the wedding, and I had not started on that journey, right? And I was stressed, I was anxious, because I also had to go to a wedding where I didn't know anyone but the bride. And I was like, I can't have these two anxieties going at the same time. I've got to get rid of one. Thankfully, it's an evening invite. I've got the whole day. Now, I want to get this started before I put the suit on, because I don't want it to be too formal. But I do want it to be respectful, right? It was a medical procedure. I want it to respect the work they had done down there. So I was like, it's got to be textbook, it's got to be medical. They've got to, you know, that sort of wank where they'd get the medical students over to be like, that's how it's done. So I decided to go free solo. Yeah, free solo, a few climbing fans in. Free solo is when you climb a mountain but with no safety equipment. So it's more thrilling, but it's also more dangerous. You could fall to your death at any point. Free solo wanking is when you use no visual aids. Just me, my mind, and my penis. This is what I wanted to call the show. It's exciting, right? Because the benefit of that is you can think of anything. But you can think of anything. Right? Because the brain has got a mind of its own. And it's called the brain. It's called the brain. So you don't want to be in that situation where at like the crucial moment, you know, something random pops into your head and bam, that's a Pavlovian response. That's what you're turned on by for the rest of the time. Like you suddenly think of that time your mum said, you can't be autistic, you've got too much empathy. I don't want that stuff rattling around my head. But I got it done. Okay, thought that would be a bigger reaction. Thought that'd be a round of applause, maybe a standing O. Partly because it was a standing O at the time, am I right? Skin me, brother. All right. If I could be serious for a moment, it was the worst cum of my life. And I ranked them all. Because I don't think anyone at that vulnerable moment should have to Google the phrase, is it okay that there's blood in my semen? Absolutely ruined my flatmate's algorithm. That's gone. And it turns out, yeah, that is normal, right? But no one told me that at any point. But, oh, sorry, normal in that situation only. If any of you right now are like, oh, thank God. No, in that situation, it's call an air ambulance. I'm dying out my dick. And it's changed things for me, right? It's changed things. I can now no longer eat raspberry ripple ice cream. And as I finished saying those words to Beatrix, a voice over the tannoy said, will Beatrix and Mark please make their way to the dance floor for their first dance? And Beatrix was just staring at me, ashen-faced, with a look that said, why have you said all of these things to me on my wedding day? And because I'm quite smart and I pick up on social cues, I thought to myself, I shouldn't have said all of those things to Beatrix. So what I did is a little trick, is I pretended like I hadn't. So I was like, oh, Beatrix, off to your first dance then, have a good one. And she sort of slumped off. Found me later and was like, yeah, I spent my entire first dance just thinking about that. Like, her husband dancing with her like, oh my God, I'm so happy, what a perfect day. What are you thinking about, dear? Oh, Muller fruit corner. With the yogurt, with the compote and